to 11 feet long and weighing up to 600 pounds, the Siberian tiger lurks through the forest for prey. Even at its monstrous size, the species remains one of the most elusive and stealth predators in the world. Only now, they are also one of the most endangered. With an estimated 400 left in the wild, the future for the largest of all big cats looks grim. So how does one zoo recreate this mysterious tiger's entire Siberian experience while in close proximity of the public? We'll find out when Ultimate Zoo takes you to the incredible big cat habitat, Bronx Zoo's Tiger Mountain. Run by the Wildlife Conservation Society, the Bronx Zoo's Tiger Mountain is a 3-acre environment designed to replicate the Siberian tiger's habitat in the beautiful Amur Valley on the border of Russia and China. Here, the exhibit's 6 tigers live amongst the expansive forest habitat in a highly enriching environment that offers the public a rare glimpse at a shy creature seldom seen in the wild.
So this is the entrance to Tiger Mountain, and
Curator of mammals, Dr. Patrick Thomas, has had a love for big cats since childhood. Starting as a volunteer at the Bronx Zoo in college, he fell in love with the place and subsequently never left.
Well, I think we have always taken great pains to, one, put the needs of our animals first, and in fact our philosophy in building an exhibit is based on what we call the 4 goods. The exhibit must be good for animals, must be good for our guests, must be good for conservation, and it must be good for zoos.
A few years ago, though, those 4 goods revealed a problem in the zoo's old Siberian tiger habitat, known as Wild Asia. While the exhibit was good for tigers, it wasn't so good for the guests, as the tigers were only visible from the zoo's monorail. The zoo needed to find a way to bring people closer to the tigers so they could truly experience this magnificent animal. After investigating various options, the zoo concluded that instead of modifying the old Wild Asia, they would have to start from scratch. Leaving the tigers in the old exhibit, the zoo began work on a new 3-acre site. Their first order was to transform the landscape into an actual forest, reminiscent of Siberia's Amur Valley.
We wanted to create the feel of a Russian high step without actually evoking it with literal planting. So we used a palette of heavy wood. We used a lot of greenery, a lot of naturalistic edging to all the paths and things like that. We also wanted to give you that sense of mystery as you move into the exhibit. Views are revealed to you without ever really opening up until you're actually in the exhibit looking at the animal. One of the challenges we have here is, of course, we have...
John Dolan is the assistant project director. He began his career with animals in 1986, managing a dairy goat farm before heading off to earn a master's degree in architecture. When incorporating the viewing areas into the environment, John would have to stay in line with the natural simplicity of the landscape, ensuring as little intrusion on the animals as possible.
We wanted to create an outdoor pavilion without actually making an enclosed structure. So while we covered it, we never enclosed it. You're able to come in out of the weather, but there's no temperature control. In the wintertime, you feel the winter. In the summertime, you feel the heat. I think that really adds to the experience that we were after in terms of your visiting the tiger on their terms.
Next, John and the design team focused on the tiger's habitat itself. Here, the natural terrain already reflected 2 elements of the Siberian landscape. One side was laid out like the Siberian forest, offering a richness of trees for the cats to explore, while the other side was laden with rock outcroppings, creating a perfect setting for the tiger's watering hole. Unlike domestic cats, tigers love water, so to encourage the animals to spend time with the public, the zoo incorporated a 10,000-gallon pool adjacent to one of the natural amphitheaters to offer the cats comfort and stimulation. They even filled it with fish to maintain the predator's natural hunting skills. Still, designers didn't stop there.
a lot of the features that we put in here for the tigers aren't necessarily obvious to the zoo visitor. For example, one of these rocks right here at the pool is actually has a heating element worked into it so that it stays warm in the winter. They have a rock to perch on that's always warm. There's a spritzer back up there by the pool. When they pass, squirts water at them, keeps them. They love to play in that kind of water.
But while John and the team were able to bring these elusive tigers comfortably into view of the visitors, they now faced another challenge, making sure that the tigers stayed on their side of the forest.
One of the big challenges that we had in this exhibit, of course, is keeping these incredibly strong active predators enclosed. So for the viewing glass, we have 1-inch thick glass. It's approximately 6 feet wide, 10 feet high, moved in by frames. And then around the enclosure itself, we have 16-foot high fence with a cantilever that keeps the animals in. Of course, we don't want the visitors to see that and have the effect spoiled. So wherever it was visible, when we couldn't hide it with plantings or landforms, we actually used what they call a zoo mesh, which is a woven stainless steel 1/8-inch thick cable. And that is almost invisible when it's seen.
With safety measures in place for the tigers and people, the new Siberian tiger habitat was nearly complete. The next challenge would be to transfer the tigers from their old exhibit and then introduce them to their new home. Coming up, the zoo moves the 6 Siberian tigers into their new exhibit. Will the sight of eager guests send the shy animals into hiding? Find out next on Ultimate Zoo. Prowling through the dark forests of Russia's Amur Valley, the Siberian tiger is one of the largest and most elusive predators on the planet. Not to mention one of the most endangered. But now, the Wildlife Conservation Society's Bronx Zoo has created its own 3-acre Siberian forest. Called Tiger Mountain, the exhibit replicates the terrain of the tiger's native landscape in the Amur Valley, Siberia. The hope is that this habitat will encourage natural behaviors while also giving the public a rare look at these shy predators. In May 2003, the new forest exhibit was nearly complete, and now the keepers would have to tackle one of the most challenging tasks of all, when they move the 6 Siberian tigers from their old exhibit and into their new Siberian home.
Hi, Taurus.
To do this, the keepers trained the tigers to voluntarily step into special transport crates, which were ferried across the zoo. This made the transition on moving day a smooth one. By crate training these tigers, zoo staff avoided having to chemically immobilize the cats, making the move less stressful and safer for the tigers. From here, the keepers began gradually introducing the tigers to their new habitat by putting the cats out in the exhibit in the morning before visitors arrived. They then slowly increased the amount of time the tigers were in the new habitat until all 6 tigers were comfortable with their new surroundings. But for the zoo, there was much more to the habitat than just the landscape. Soon the keepers unveiled the final and most important element in the exhibit, the enrichment. Jamie Bisbicki knew she wanted to work with animals her entire life. After becoming a vet technician, she soon came to the Bronx Zoo, where she became a keeper and never looked back. Now, it's up to her to continually develop new activities to enrich the tigers' lives at the zoo.
We stimulate these guys' natural instincts with food by hiding different food items throughout the entire exhibit. And this actually helps them forage like they would be doing in the wild, hunting for prey items. So we're actually bringing out a lot more natural instincts with this exhibit, being that they're fully enriched every single day, which is very important, not only with our tigers, but everything in our entire collection here at the Bronx Zoo.
A zookeeper for 8 years, Jose Vasquez worked on a farm before he decided to pursue a degree in animal science. Now he's one of the tigers' most passionate caretakers.
Come on, Zeppy. Come on, Taurus. Basically, when we let these guys out in the morning, you can tell that they're real